It is 6:30 and I'm calling to order our Elgin City Council meeting, October the 21st, 2025. And we will begin with Councilmember St. Pierre.
St. Pierre here.
Rodriguez here.
Krim here.
Frazier here.
McShann here.
Kaznowski here.
Gibson here.
Swain here.
Love here.
And our invocation will be by Mayor Pro Tem.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day, for the many blessings you grant us each and every day. Thank you for bringing us together to serve the people of Elgin. We ask for your blessing, protection, and guidance over our city, its leaders, employees, and citizens. Be present with us tonight, Lord, and grant us wisdom and understanding to make thoughtful decisions that honor you and help share a strong and bright future for Elgin. Please forgive us of our shortcomings and watch over us as we return safely home. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We have a public hearing on an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Floods, Section 2019, Section 2021 through Section 2029, Section 249 through Section 2053, Section 20 through 80, through Section 2082, Revised Code of Ordinances, City of the Elgin, Texas, 2013, and providing for a savings clause and repealing conflicting ordinances or resolutions. Do we have anyone signed up for? No one is signed up for the public hearing. It is 6:32 and that public hearing is closed. We're now open for our public comment. And we have a couple who want to speak. They have 3 minutes, limit 3 minutes. There will be no formal action taken. And the first one we have is Keith Simpson.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Manager, Council. My name is Keith Simpson, and I'm a commissioner for Emergency Service District number 3, which is your EMS, ESD. So there's a lot of words there, but I got it out. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on the latest things that have happened. And on October 15th, the Bastrop County Emergency Service District number 3 Board of Commissioners voted to transition to an ESD operated EMS. And so what that means is we are going to be setting up a Bastrop County ambulance service for all of Bastrop County. And we're going to transition this in the next year. As you can imagine, it takes a tremendous amount of effort that is going to go forth in the next year. We target October 1st of 26 to start that locally operated EMS system. In the interim period, you're still going to see Acadian Ambulance providing services as they normally have. We're committed to providing the best service that we can with the right resources at the right time at the right place. And so we're probably have some service enhancements throughout this next year, but we're holding ourselves to the same standards that we've set forth within the Acadian contract, which had improved operational metrics and clinical metrics that were associated with that. So everything that we've asked Acadian to do, we plan to do in the design of our new system. Currently, right now, there are 7 ambulances. There are 5 24-hour ambulances and 2 peak load unit ambulances. We're looking at possibly increasing that to maybe 2 more. We've done a very detailed demand analysis. We know where every call was within Bastrop County, the time of day and day of week. We know the acuity or the urgency of that call, and we've got time response standards that are set, and we fully plan to adhere to those as set forth within the Acadian contract. So the good news is we're moving fast and furious. We've got to hire a complete staff. We've got to design a 911 center. We've got to do a lot of work ahead of us. Currently today we have 1 employee. Probably after October 1st of 26 we'll have over 100. So you can imagine how quickly things are going to be moving here within the next year. So I hope to get back to you to be able to provide a little bit more detail about the things that are happening, and I'm available to provide updates throughout this next year and make sure that you're aware of everything that's going on. And we know that there's an election coming up here, and the district has called for that election, which will be November 4th. And Elgin and its ETJ will have the opportunity at that time to officially join the district as it serves now the entire county, about 900 square miles within Bastrop County. So thank you for the time. I don't know if anybody's got any questions, but y'all know how to get a hold of me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Daniel Phillenhover, I hope I'm saying that right, to talk about Proposition L.
Daniel Philhauer.
Philhauer,
Yes,
thank you.
ma'am.
Sorry.
Thank you. Council, thank you. As you heard, my name is Daniel Philhauer. I own the Elgin Courier, also the Taylor Press, multiple other newspapers and magazines in Central and South Texas. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Proposition L. I talked briefly just before here with Mark Schrader and got a little bit more clarity on an email I sent earlier this week. I'm excited to hear more about what you guys think that interpretation is of your Proposition L. As it is written now, it is very vague and very narrow and can be opened up for a lot of interpretation, and that's kind of what I wanted to focus on today. That dipping your toe into the possibility of changing the way we do public notices and putting some online and others in the newspaper, it's just not a road that we want to go down. We certainly want to respect the transparency and your residents here in Elgin. So one of the big questions I think people ask is, why the newspaper? So it's certainly not for the sake of nostalgic reasons. It really is for verifiable, permanent, and inalterable record. The inalterable record is kind of the main point there. Anything that can be digital can be altered and can be changed. And as of the public record, I think there was a 5-day versus a 30-day notice. I think that does change. There is current Texas law that does require municipalities to post public notices in the newspaper of record. So this claim that perhaps you might be thinking no one reads the newspaper anymore. So don't get bogged down on the word paper. So at the Elgin Courier, and much like all my other newspapers, we are actually on all platforms, from social to web to print to we actually have 20 television screens around Bastrop County. So excluding the television screens, it's about 78,000 impressions a month that we produce, more if you include those television screens. So why does that matter? It matters because of something called passive discovery. So passive discovery is why you're in the newspaper, why you're scrolling on your phone and you're reading the story about sports, or why you're reading the story about the tech expansion or the development story, or obituaries. You're going to run across a story about the TECQ environmental permits, and you're going to read about that. That informs your residents. That's why it's there. If you post things on websites, the likeliness of your residencies going out there specifically to find that is very rare. It's very slim. And FYI, your website is very difficult to navigate. There's a couple of your links that don't work. And as an FYI to you, and if this is something, a direction that the Elgin Council is interested in doing, you should be probably looking into that as well. Particularly, the proposition links are for this particular election. Some of them are broken. So I just find that important for you to know. This can't be a cost issue because the costs that the city of Elgin has already paid thus so far equates to about 20 cents per impression, which from a marketing standpoint is actually pretty good to have the kind of reach that you've already done for your residents. So my main ask here is I understand that we can't,
I'm sorry, your 3 minutes are up.
okay, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and that is it for our public comment. Our announcements.
Good evening, Council, and happy Texas Unplug Day. It's the first ever Unplug Texas Day. It's founded by Texas Recreation and Parks Society to unplug and get connected with your Parks Rec department. So, hey, happy Unplug Texas Day. I would like to introduce Bastrop County Care's Health Access Coordinator, Maddie. She's going to cover a new program that's happening at the Recreation Center and Library where you can receive free CARTS passes for medical and social services.
Good evening. Thank you for the space to share about this program and for the openness from distinct officials from the city for allowing this collaboration. My name is Maddie. I'm the Health Access Coordinator at Bastrop County Cares. We broadly work to support the community, addressing social determinants of health and improving outreach. So maybe next slide. So over the last 6 months or so, we've launched a new program collaborating with partners across the county, working to address transport specifically as a barrier for medical and social service access for community members across the county. We're working in kind of 3 distinct ways. The first is to develop a network of volunteers to drive community members to medical appointments for pregnant and senior residents in the county to access medical services, and that's something that's available to anyone across the county. And the second key way that I want to focus on tonight is through a partnership with CARTS to improve understanding of how to use CARTS, but also to address cost as a barrier for county residents to be able to more effectively use public transport and services. So we have partnered with them through a health collaborative that we run every month in Bastrop, but also through developing new partnerships with social service organizations across the county. And we've, up till now, developed 26 partnerships. And in September, we launched a partnership with the Elgin Public Library and with the Recreational Center to distribute vouchers to community members. The last one I wanted to highlight that's available to community members is Chariot or Drive a Senior that will also provide social service access and medical appointment access to seniors across the 78721 zip code. So the next thing I wanted to share is just a little bit of an overview of CARTS transport. I know that there's been expansion of services for CARTS in Elgin. There's 3 key services available. The Country Bus, which services rural parts of the county, CARTS Now, which is available in the Bastrop city limits and Elgin city limits, as well as a service that will allow county residents to transport to Austin through the interurban coach. So I have those overviews on the slide, and I can share more information. Bastrop County Cares also has a call center that you can always get more information if individuals are looking for how to use cards or additional information on services through our partnership. You can go to the next slide. So here's just an overview of where our CARTS pass is available throughout the county. We've developed these partnerships with public libraries in Smithville, Bastrop, Elgin, like I mentioned, working with the Wesley nurses across all 3 cities, working with the federally qualified health centers, and different really important social service points across the county. So I just wanted to share that this is a new partnership that is happening in Elgin. Just since launching in September, we've already seen 52 vouchers distributed here in Elgin, benefiting 13 individuals. And the majority of those were used for medical service access, as well as those individuals that really need to use the public transport service to get to their jobs. So I think it's a really positive impact just from 1 month already having benefited those individuals. I dropped by the library before to provide more vouchers, and this is a partnership we plan to continue into next year, and it's really helpful to now be seeing that impact just within 1 month. So don't know if there's any other questions or anything I might be able to respond to. Okay, thank you for the opportunity and the collaboration. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, I'm back. Thank you. I just wanted to highlight a couple things coming up. The Rec Center has our Lanterns of Remembrance event tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. for ages 5 to 10. That is a completely free event and part of our monthly kids activities. You can also still sign up for our free Trees 101 educational session if you are alive after Hawkeye. It'll be on Sunday afternoon. I know it was bold, but that was when our teacher was available. It'll help you prep for Texas Arbor Day. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the Hawkeye schedule. The festivities start on Thursday. So I hope to see everyone out and about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday, we've got the Hawkeye Stroll, Pearls Before Swine, and the Hog Calling Contest. Mayor, if you're gonna give us a demonstration. On Friday, we have the dessert contest and street dance, and then on Saturday, there's the vendors, live music, children's pet parade, barbecue cook-off, car and bike show, cow patty bingo, and so much more. So, have a great day. I'll see you there.
Thank you. Next, we have presentations. The first proclamation I'm going to read is for Ronald Crepon. Proclamation honoring Ronald D. Crepon's years of service as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, whereas Mr. Ronnie Crepon was first recommended by Albert Michalczek to the Planning and Zoning Commission on November 30th, 1987 to replace C.H. Marburger. And whereas his first meeting was on July 25th, 1988, and whereas he served as the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission twice, once from February 28th, 1994 to December 29th, 2003 for a period of 9 years. And again from January the 28th, 2008 to April the 18th, 2016 for a period of 8 years. Whereas Mr. Crepon faithfully served the city of Elgin on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 38 years with a brief break from January 2004 to February 2005. And whereas he was known to rarely miss a meeting unless it was in February for his wife's birthday. And whereas the city of Elgin is grateful for and humbled by the commitment shown by Mr. Crepon for these 38 years of service. Now therefore, I, Teresa McShann, Mayor of the City of Elgin, do hereby recognize and salute the dedication and contributions of Mr. Ronnie Crepon for his incredibly valuable years of service as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. In official recognition whereof I hereto set my hand and cause the great seal of the city of Elgin, Texas to be affixed this 21st day of October 2025. Mr. Crepon.
And I'm going to read this one because the mayor might get a little weepy. This is a proclamation honoring Mr. S.H. McShann. Whereas Mr. S.H. McShann was first recommended by Murtis Thomas to the Board of Adjustments on November 7th, 1995, and whereas his first meeting was on October 28th, 1996, with his last meeting being June 12th, 2025, and whereas he he has served on various boards and commissions in the city, including the Economic Development Corporation for over 25 years. And whereas Mr. McShann is also a business owner of McShann's Barbershop in downtown Elgin, and whereas Mr. McShann faithfully served the city of Elgin on the Board of Adjustments for 29 years, and whereas he was known to never be late and rarely miss a meeting, and whereas the city of Elgin is grateful for and humbled by the commitment shown by Mr. McShann for these 29 years of service. Now therefore I, Teresa Y. McShann, Mayor of the City of Elgin, do hereby recognize and salute the dedication and contributions of Mr. S.H. McShann for his incredibly valuable years of service as a member of the Board of Adjustments. In official recognition whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the Great Seal of the City of Elgin, Texas, to be affixed this 21st day of October 2025.
Next, we have a presentation of our annual audit report for the period ending September 30th, 2024 by Brooks, Watson and Company, PLLC.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Mike Brooks, audit partner with Brooks, Watson and Company, CPAs, and I will be presenting you with your audited financial statements for the year ended September 30th of 2024. So I believe you all have a copy of the audited financial statements in front of you. I have prepared a summary presentation. It's just going to go over some of the more important numbers and statements within your report. I'll try to keep that short and then open it up to questions. Oh, thank you. You all should have a printed copy of the summary presentation. I'm also going to go through it on the big screen. All right, first, just want to briefly go over the audit process. The audit can be broken into three general phases. The first is the planning and risk assessment phase. So this would typically be performed prior to year end, so before the books have been closed for the year. We try to schedule this during the summer months if we can. But we're coming out and looking at all the new activity for the year, so we're doing our fact finding. We're also doing our internal control evaluation, sitting down, meeting with city staff, trying to figure out what's been going on this year and how are we going to design our procedures to address the highest risk areas. The next stage is the bulk of what we do. This is your year-end field work. So at this point this is what you're typically used to with most audits. We are looking at all material assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenditures across all funds if they do meet our materiality threshold. And the final stage is the conclusion and reporting. This is the wrap-up of any findings that we did have and the presentation of the report to council and acceptance of that report. Next is what we consider to be the most important part of your audited financial statements. This is our contribution. This is our independent auditor's report. So within your report, it's quite lengthy. It's nearly 100 pages. All that information is derived from city financial data and city policy. The independent auditor's report is our contribution, so this is our letter over those financial statements. And it does let you know if these financial statements are reliable. So are these financial statements materially correct and in accordance with GAAP? If they are, you would receive an unmodified audit opinion. If there are errors or issues that cannot be corrected or addressed, you would receive one of the other versions of this opinion. You really don't want anything other than an unmodified audit opinion. So that says that these financial statements are reliable and correct. So I'm happy to say that we were able to issue a clean, unmodified audit opinion. So this is the highest level of assurance that we can give that these financial statements are reliable and materially accurate. Next, I just want to touch on several financial highlights. As of the end of the year, total assets exceeded total liabilities by $57.6 million. Your governmental funds reported a combined ending fund balance of $6 million. This was a decrease of about $10.3 million from the prior year. Your unassigned fund balance in your overall governmental funds was a deficit at the end of the year of $913,000. And the city had an overall increase in net position. This is on a full accrual level of just under $9.6 million for the year. Next is a summary of your governmental activities revenues. So the total revenues, this excludes your utility funds. But your total revenues for the year were $18.8 million. This was an increase of about $2 million from the prior year. Some of the larger revenue items were your property taxes at just under $6.5 million. They had an increase of $730,000. Sales taxes totaled just under $2.8 million and increased $245,000. Your charges for services totaled $5.8 million and had an increase of $1.5 million. And your grants and contributions totaled $2.1 million and had an increase just about $100,000. Next is a summary of your governmental activities expenses. Again, this does exclude your water and sewer fund. Your total expenses were $17.9 million. This was an increase of about $1.7 million from the prior year. Public safety expenses totaled just over $6 million and increased $900,000. Public works expenses totaled $2.1 million, had a decrease of $475,000. General government totaled just over $4 million and had an increase of about $1 million, and parks and rec expenses totaled $3 million, had an increase of about $353,000. All right. So next is a summary of your changes in fund balance for your governmental funds. What I typically point out here is just your overall increase or decrease in fund balance for each of these funds. Starting at the general fund did have a decrease or a reduction in fund balance this year of just over $1 million. And your capital projects fund had a decrease of just over $10 million this year. Not always an issue. Typically, your capital projects are funded through sources in one year and then expended over the life or the capital improvement plan over the term for those projects. So you'll see large increases and large decreases within these funds. Your debt service fund had an increase of about $249,000, and your other non-major governmental funds had an increase of about $600,000. The next numbers I want to point out here are your ending fund balance for your general fund and your capital projects fund. Normally, we would just be talking about your general fund, but the capital projects fund did end the year in a pretty significant deficit. So while your general fund had an overall positive fund balance of $5.4 million, your capital projects fund ended with a deficit of about $6.1 million. So what that says here is your capital projects fund had more capital expenses than it did revenue or available sources within this year. So this deficit position is going to be offset with general funds or some other funding source. But at the end of the year, there was an overall net unassigned deficit within the general and your capital projects fund. And that amount equated to about $913,000. The city tries to maintain an unassigned fund balance within the general fund of at least 25% of your overall annual general fund expenditures. So at this point, you guys were in the deficit position, obviously not the 25% in the positive position. All right, next is a budget to actual for your general fund. On the left-hand side, you see your final budgeted numbers. So the city did have a final budgeted, planned budgeted increase in fund balance of about $1 million. The actual decrease in the general fund was just over, I'm sorry, 100,000. There was an actual decrease in the general fund of just over just under 1.1 million. And on the right-hand side, you'll see where the either positive or negative budget variances come from. So on the upper right, the city did have a negative revenue variance of about 112,000. So you anticipated having 14.4 million, came in just under that at 14.3, so you were under about 100,000. Your expenditures had a negative deficit of just over 2 million. This was almost entirely related to an audit entry that we made, transfer the ARPA expenditures over to into the general fund. So this was not planned within this original budget. And the other financing sources, which are primarily your transfers, had an overall positive budget variance of 982,000. All those together equate to an overall negative budget variance of just under 1.2 million. All right, next is a summary of your changes in net position for your utility fund. This is your water and sewer operations. These funds are different than your governmental funds in that they should be self-supporting. So they should have rates that are set at a level that do fund operations, debt service, and any capital improvements. So typically the most important number to look at is, are these funds maintaining? So are they paying for themselves? Are they losing money? So the overall change in net position for the year here was an overall positive increase in net position of 6.5 million. I do want to point out that about 4 million of that were grant revenues that came in. So those are not recurring revenues. Those are one-time revenues or future revenues that come in if they were, the city does apply and receive those grant awards. So those are not really considered operational, but that does equate for most of the increase in your utility fund this year. All right, in addition, we did complete a single audit. So the city expended more than 750 of federal grant revenues. And what that means is the city is required to have a compliance audit over those federal funds. So we did perform that, and we did not have any specific grant-related findings related to that audit, but that is in your packet as well. In addition, we have two of our audit letters. One is our required auditor disclosure letter. So it provides a list of primarily the journal entries that we had to propose as part of this audit. So with every audit, we'll come in and make journal entries that do bring the city's books into accordance with GAAP. So if something is incorrect and needs to be adjusted, we'll provide that entry to the city. A typical city of this size, you'd see somewhere between the 10 and 20 range of corrections that we had to make. So the city fell somewhere within that as of the end of the year. So overall, nothing overly, not too many journal entries or overly concerning with the volume of journal entries. But we also had some findings and recommendations which are contained in the second letter that you have. So if you would like me to go over that letter, I'd be happy to, or if you have any specific questions over those findings, I'd be happy to do that as well.
I'd like you to go over it since we just
Sure.
got it.
All right, so the letter we're going to go over is going to be, it's going to look like this letter. It's a slightly thinner letter that you have.
The one without the city answers.
Correct. No, I'm not going to go over the city's answers, but if you have those, it's the same letter. Yeah.
Talk about that one.
Yeah. Mhm.
It'll be with the number 1 where it says finding. Go find it.
All right. So the first comment I'm going to go over is our finding number 1. This is titled Effective Control Over Financial Statement Disclosure. The gist of this comment is that as part of our audit, we came in and proposed a material amount of journal entries to bring the accounts into accordance with GAAP, so they weren't technically correct from a financial statement point of view. And we also were engaged to complete and draft the report in front of you. Now, in a perfect world, a city should have staff, or a company should have staff that is capable of producing a set of GAAP financial statements. So financial statements with all footnotes where all footnotes are disclosed, few to no audit adjustments. Now, in reality, that's typically not the case. So most cities that we audit do request that we prepare the financial